I've got me a sleepy time Saturday brain. Hi, welcome to Acrylicana Knits. This is a knitting podcast, an art podcast, a craft podcast, a talk about your feelings podcast. This is where feelings come from. A clavicle. That's not true. My name is Mary. I am your host. In this little podcast, little choo-choo podcast, today we're going to talk about what's in this box. And later, I'll even put away what's in both of those boxes. There's a secret there. And it says latch kits, and I can't show it to you, but you know that it's a latch kit, which is a thing that's out in the market, so that's exciting. So there are things. I am an illustrator and a designer, and I like to knit. So a month ago I was like, I'm going to do a knitting podcast, and it's a month later-ish, and I'm back, and I'm going to talk about knitting, and I keep looking at my face and not the camera. First off, I need to find stuff in my notebook. Here's my notebook. It's exciting. Ooh. So we're going to start finished objects. I only have technically one-ish and another that's an older one. And other things are still in progress because life has been a mess. So this is a crop tank that I was working on, and here's one half of it. And then here's the other half of it. So there's more of it, but it's rolling because that's what stockinette does. These were knit in Karen Cakes. It's an acrylic wool blend. They're cute and stripy and colorful and fun, so I will mattress stitch, seam them together. I have to do a 3-needle bind off in order to get the little straps together, so that's going to be fun. I had originally planned to have this done already and to show you in video form, but instead I'll be sprinkling some knitting throughout the video, I guess, at some point. I haven't really decided how I'm editing things together exactly, of knitting. So some of it is me working on that, and some of it's me working on my shawl, and I think in the future I'll have more of that. I'll figure it out. But life is a little bit weird. Hopefully the sound is good. I'm sorry if this all gets dark. Life is a little weird lately, so doing my best. Doing my best. That'll be done eventually. It's not warm enough to wear it yet, really. So I've just been like, meh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. Still have to block that sweater. I'll get to stuff. So my other finished object is an old object of mine. And it's a scarf that I made for my dad. My dad, he passed away suddenly. There's a 12. That's his number. He passed away suddenly a couple weeks ago. So that's part of why life is just, I mean, it's the main reason my life is just a mess right now. It's weird and confusing time. But I find that I'm able to talk about it now compared to where I was a couple weeks ago. I just wanted to share. It's crocheted. I tried to do tapestry crochet. As you can tell, it's not very good. It's a bad job. But my dad liked it, and he wore it. And there are pictures of him in it, and he liked it. So the day after he died, I went to my mom's house, and I don't know if I think she had said, she's like, do you want that scarf? And I was like, I totally want that scarf. I was going to ask, but I don't know if it would be weird and inappropriate, and it's not. There's a lot of weird and inappropriate things you can say when someone you love dies, and we've said all of them. So, things are weird. That was not one of them, though. That was a normal thing to say. So he was, at some point, on a hockey team number 12. He played hockey for probably 50 years. He literally died while doing it. He loved hockey, so I really wanted to keep this because I made it for him and because he loved it, and I keep touching it off screen. I feel like I should only touch it on screen. And it's just kind of nice because I really associate it with him. So it's been hanging in next to our front door here at my place, which is helpful because then I look over, I'm like, why is that there? I'm like, oh, right. He's died. Okay, neat. It's not neat. It sucks. But like, I don't want to put all this on you lovely people who are like, I want to knit. And I'm like, my dad's dead. But that's just kind of how life is right now, where I kind of have to keep telling people that because it has interrupted existence as it does, as death does. So I know many people have gone through similar losses, and some it's a very complex loss, and others it's just a very sad loss, and everyone has different kinds. And if y'all want to talk about that, then we can all talk about it in comments or in messages, private messages or whatever. And if you don't have to. You can be like, no, thank you, and just go on, and that's totally fine with me. I will not feel offended. This is life. But what I did want to talk about a little bit, in addition to coffee, which is good, coffee's delightful, is just I like that you can make things for someone, or someone can make things for you, and even if they're gone, you still have that bit of them, or they have that bit of you, or you get, some of that back. There's not a cat fur in this, and I don't know if it's my cats or my parents' cats. Doesn't matter. It's all cats. So many cats. Cats are nice too. They're really good for the whole grieving process. Anyway, as my nose starts going, I encourage all of you to knit and crochet and create things for each other, and then someday one of you will die, and you have it. This is so messed up. I'm sorry. I realize it's weird. Anyway, so seriously though, make things, and you live on, and it's nice. It's a really nice part of the thing that we all like to do, just like art and creating, and I mean, there are so many things that coffee is one of them. So many things that I have because of my dad. There's total love of coffee and sharing over a cup of coffee, and I encourage all of you, as the weather is nice wherever you are, to get your cup of coffee and go walk around the garden, because that's what he wanted to do all the time. And I was like, this is weird, but I'll do it anyway. Tell me about your garden. So please keep doing that, even though you may have never done it before. Do it because I told you to. A weird internet lady was like, do this for me. Anyway, thank you for letting me share that with you. And we can continue talking about shit that doesn't matter. Wonder at what point I'm not allowed to swear before they take monetization off. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm still in progress. Yeah, going from 0 to 60. I say yeah as if someone said something. No one said anything. Just my brain. I just thought I'd quickly shove us off into something else. So, in progress. Still in progress on the shawl. It's a whole shawl thing. It's hard to show when it's just like wrapped up and there's a bunch of stuff going on, but I still have probably like, I don't know, 10 rows to go, maybe a little more, maybe fewer. I guess I can knit while talking. I like the shawl. I found it's the coffee that doesn't move my nose around a bit. I found bits like this, while super cool, in crochet, if you're doing like a mesh, it's way easier. You're like, I don't have to do as much, and I make big old holes, and it's nice. In knitting, it's slow. I mean, it's always slow with knitting. But for me, it's a lot slower because I tend to knit just regular knit stitch and purl stitch, continental, quite a bit, unless my hands hurt, in which case I'll switch back and forth between continental and English. However, if I'm doing something like this, it's going to require a lot of yarn overs, and this one was yarn over and a lot of slip knit, where you are slipping 2 stitches and then knitting back into them, and I can only do that right on the right side, English style, so it's very, very slow, and it drove me crazy. And that's why I had multiple projects going on, because I just like couldn't deal with how slow it was. I was like, no, thank you. I gotta figure out something else that doesn't have the sun coming in here. Maybe if I just get up real close and my giant head blocks the sun, I could move this a little. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so those parts are slower. I like how they look though. I like lace. I like mesh. I like the different kind of shapes that these make. I think that's really cool. I think this one's really neat. Let's see what else. This one just has like little eyelets. This is the back side, by the way. And this one just goes back and forth, which I like. So I've like the shawl. I think it's really neat. It's taken a long time. I think I started it around the beginning of the year. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully on Ravelry it says. Speaking of Ravelry, I started a little group for this podcast. I think the group is Acrylicana Knits. I will have a link below. I'll have links to any pattern shown here, any resource that I may mention, all that stuff will be below. So if you would like to come join me, then I can post episode links, and we can also just all get to know each other and chat. And if you have any questions, you can ask them there. And I will either address them there if they're something to address quickly, or I will address them in podcast if there's something I think that we should all have a chat about. Boop, boop, boop. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, another project. This is still in my little Kyla's lab bag. It's too big for the bag, Kyla. I don't know why I put it in this tiny project bag. I just keep shoving this whole big old shawl in it, and heck, it's like you wake up every time my face comes back. You know, you're like, what? Good morning. Anyway, so I had shown these two skeins last time, and I was like, I'm gonna do some socks. Well, I have been. Been working a little bit more on that shawl just to hopefully finish it quicker, but I did manage to get 2 at a time socks going, and hopefully this isn't a mess here. I did put them on my little Chiaogu needles. Chiaogu? I don't know how to pronounce things, which are new to me because money. I don't know. They're expensive. But I finally was like, I'll buy them. That'd be great. Still can't afford an entire set. I mean, I could, I guess, but like, you know, I am frugal, so no. Someday I will justify that. Anyway, I like it. It's good. It does not get all jacked up like Knit Picks and Knitter's Pride and Clover and every other circular needle set that I have, or just circular needles in general that I have. The cords, I think that they're mostly just nylon, or maybe there's wire in there, but they get kinked really bad depending on how you store them, and that's a problem that I've been having. So I was like, well, I want to do 2 at a time, but I really need like a good cord. And now this spoils me. And I go to Knit Group and I'm just like, God, everyone is using them. No wonder. I've been dumb. So they are more expensive. Like a full interchangeable set, which actually has more in it than like a Knit Pick set. I think has a few more needles in it. But still, it's like $120 if you find a decent deal on it. Sometimes it's more depending on which one it is. Sometimes a little bit less. Whereas Knit Picks, I think, is about like $45 or something. So it's an investment. There's a reason why I always start simple, where it's like, I'm buying my stuff at Joann's, at Michael's. And then it's like later I go, I'm buying things fresh from the sheep. This is me squishing sheep. Is good. So there's that. Anyway, so I thought that I was going to do my own texture pattern. And I sort of started. You can see I have my little stitch marker I made. I was really excited when I realized I still had adorable little charms and things, so I made some little stitch markers. That way I knew what side things were on. Anyway, so I was going to do a texture pattern, which you can't really see a ton of because the self-striping yarn doesn't show it off well. But my plan was to be like, here are some hearts, and here are some other little things, and then some diagonals, and you can't tell. So I did go through all these. Like, I made my little charts, not that one. I didn't do that. That's just ribbing. Or a seed stitch. I think that just becomes a seed stitch. Anyway, so my plan was to do those, and I did, and I was like, that's nice. And the nice thing about doing weird experiments with socks for 2 at a time socks is that once you're done with your experiment on one, you're already done with your experiment on the other. So I just decided to switch it back to straight up stockinette. And I'll continue that for an amount and then work on the heels and feet and toes. Haven't decided what kind of heels to do yet. I might learn a new heel, and that would be nice. I've mostly only done mitered heels, and I'm going to call them gutter heels. It's not what they're called. I don't know what they're called right now. My brain is not the sharpest, because this is the first cup of coffee I've had, and we're already like well into the afternoon. So I've got me a sleepy time Saturday brain. I will keep y'all posted on what I do. Those are all my in progress things, but my to-do list, future projects, got real long. It's probably like double what it was last time. So at least I started some of those things, and I have a reason why I got real long. Hold on. Here I go. Hi! Okay, so, this is from Nitpicks. I'm not like a Nitpicks shill. I just happened to have a very darling friend gift me a gift card to them, and I was like, great, I'll go online and I'll buy some stuff that I've been meaning to buy. And one of them was an interchangeables case, which I never really had. I just had like the little plastic case that it comes in originally from Nitpicks, and that thing was falling apart. So this is very nice. It's quite delightful. Should actually show it this way, maybe. All my little needles are in there for the most part, except for the ones that I'm using. There's still room for more, which is great. And then there are like two, it's black, so you can't even tell, but there are two zippered sides. Zippered sides, you still can't tell. Anyway, there's a zipper, I swear. So inside one side I have any fixed circulars and then cords. And the other side are DPNs, except for my set of small sock DPNs that will need its own case eventually because it also is falling apart. So it's a cute case. It works. It does the thing I wanted it to do. I was hoping that it would be like sturdier instead of just like a little baggy bag, but it's turned into a little baggy bag because I've stuffed it, which is what happens with knitting projects. I'm gonna go get that box there. That box I showed you guys last time, and I have to put all that away. Knit Swish DK. I got 2 of them in Marina, and my goal is to make just some little like mitts. But it really is an experiment because I wanted to play with mohair really badly. Now, my problem with mohair is that most of it, including this, comes with silk. It's also spun with silk. And while it is soft and beautiful, it really bothers me because the majority of silk that you will find out in the world and on the market, the way it's harvested is they actually take the cocoons of silkworms and they boil them alive because they're like, then we can get the silk so beautifully and in one beautiful strand. And I'm like, this is super jacked up. And I didn't realize when I bought this that it had silk in it, and then I saw later, and I was like, okay, great. I don't know. So my real goal is to find mohair spun with something else. It seems like no one wants to do that. I'm still learning, and I will find mohair because I just wanted the fluff and the halo, the aura, the mohair aura. And my goal is to hold this with this while I knit just some simple little mitts. So I'll see how that goes, but I'm a little sad. And I guess I could have returned it, but I don't know. I'm not the most ethical vegetarian person on the planet, and some people who are vegetarian wouldn't even care because they're like, that's a bug. Not everyone is bothered by stuff like that, like silk or, some people are perfectly happy about using real fur, or they're like okay with it, or people eat meat. I mean, I don't know. Y'all do what y'all do. I do a bunch of stuff that's probably messed up too. I mean, I have a car. I drive it. That's horrible. I'm using a bunch of power right now. Why? It's sunny outside. I should be out there doing something. I'm not. I'm just like, let's use electricity. It's just awful. Anyway, we can all feel horrible all day. Everyone. Every last one of us. So here's some hawthorn fingering yarn. This is Graffiti Speckle. Ooh, ah. So there's Speckle yarn. I think it's only Hawthorn line that they have Speckle yarn, and Hawthorn is superwash fine Highland wool 80% of that, and then 20% polyamide. I don't really know what polyamide is. I assume that it's like an acrylic. And of course the superwash, so got all sorts of things to feel guilty about with this. It's really good. It's great. I just like bringing it to your attention, then we all feel bad for a moment. There are a lot of amazing indie dyers who do awesome speckles, and I have bought some of them and I love them. And I would like to do more of that because I'm not completely sold on their choices for how this is speckled. I'll see when it's in use. It's always hard for me to tell. Sometimes some people's skeins look amazing, or Hank's look amazing, and then you knit them up, and I'm like, and I kind of feel like this might be the opposite because they had examples of it knitted up, and I thought it looked really cute. So we'll see. Anyways, this is a graffiti speckle. This next one, there are 8 of these. They were all in a set, and that set sold out pretty much after I bought it. So yay! Hear me? Confetti speckle. So this one is a little similar. It has more blues in it than this guy does. So they could be friends. And then we have Cosmic Speckle. I like this better. I think I like it better when it's not just speckle on bare white, unless they're very soft colors, and I think it's really pretty, so we'll see how those work. But this is on more of a bluey thing going on. A bluey thing, which I like. Very cosmic. And this one's very blue. Bluey blue blue. And it's aquatic speckle. So I like it. And they came with an assortment of their kettle dyed Blackbird kettle dye, which I think is very, very pretty. Let's see if that will... It doesn't want to... Well, there you go. It's a little blurry, sorry. Tried to focus and it didn't want to do it. And this one is Poseidon, which is pretty. What I like about the kettle dye stuff is that there's just like this gorgeous hue shift. That's not the right word I'm looking for, but that's all I got right now. Within the skein itself, which is more pronounced in something like this. You can really see the dark magenta and the very light magenta happening. This one is Turkish Delight, which I really love. And this one, oh man, what? I have a color I like. I have a lot of colors I like. Anyway, Compass, which is gorgeous. So I'm really lately into a lot of, I say lately, it's been a long time, into a lot of mustard, and I mean, these are my favorite colors. Mustard and yellow ochre and all that good stuff. So my goal with some of these is to make it into a sweater, and I of course am gonna join every bandwagon everyone is joining and go check out Andrea Mowry's patterns, and she has the So Faded sweater, and I think that some of those will be perfect for it. I have to go back and look at like the photo of all of the skeins on Knitpix's website because they had them lined up in such a way that I was like, oh yeah, I could do that, and that's just what I'm gonna do. It'll be really cute, and it won't be like a perfect gradient fade. It will just be fun and bright and beautiful and just mixed between the kettle dyes and the speckle ones, and then I'll have plenty left over for other projects, and I was thinking of probably just doing some socks and be fun. For other future projects, I was looking at Full House, as one does when they like to look at, get inspiration for design, and I look at a lot of old stuff. That's sort of how my job goes, and that's just how life goes. They have fantastic sweaters and stuff in Full House in the original series. So there were some screenshots that I took. Kimmy Gibbler was wearing a sweater that was like, it wasn't quite turquoisey teal. It was like a darker green with a little bit of blue in it. So maybe just like a dark version of that with roses, but the roses sort of looked like they were like giant like cross-stitch pieces. So it was probably like screen print onto a sweater, but I thought, man, that would be an amazing color work sweater to figure out, something like that, where it'd just be big pixel art roses. It would look real cute. So that's on my list. There's other stuff that's inspired by toys and old toys from my childhood, which I think I'll eventually talk about. some of which were things that I was thinking about being inspired by, like Rainbow Bright and Polly Pocket, and so I started to make some plans for that, but don't really want to like bust it out until I'm ready. I'm probably working on it. And I haven't bought yarn for that yet because I have a giant list of things that I have yarn for right now. 2 sweaters in there. It's another sweater and some mitts and some socks in here. 3 projects currently in progress. There's a lot of stuff going on, plus a bunch of stuff in my closet probably. I don't know. So I'm going to take all this stuff and put it away and just going to get organized and focus on finishing up at least 2 of my projects, hopefully today. Other art. So, someone asked at some point, they're like, show us bullet journal. That's as good as it gets. Actually, I'm not super into it. I'm a little into it. I thought I'd be more into it, and then like life keeps happening, and just, stress of work. I have a notebook like this that I also use for work, and initially I was like, oh, it's so pretty, and now I'm just like, I have no time. We're in the middle of production. We have deadlines. Let's go. So, doesn't get very pretty. Can't show you that one anyway. The only other problem too is using these little flags is they get super tattered. So, don't like that. Can't even close this right now. That was my notebook. Anyway, I just want to squish some yarn. That's it. That's all I got. So I just got, knitting, sad stories. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe and like it up or whatever it is that people say. We can all high-five each other and talk about our lives. Let's talk about our parents and knitting and, other stuff. Cats, talk about cats. Talk about video games. Talk about taking a walk. It looks real sunny out there, but it's still cold. I'll be back in a month probably because it takes a while for knitting projects to happen, and it would be really boring if I did this every week because I'd be like, I got another row. Something else in my life happened. My back went out. Bye. Bye.